So hi everybody, it's Laura and Natasha, and we're working on making Italian sauce, and I thought we'd let you join us as we work, and we're going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to ask Natasha some questions. She's a little bit nervous about what I'm going to ask her, I think.
Because I don't know actually the questions.
But you're going to work it out really good. Why don't you start, because I just heard him respond to me on Viber, start with how you met us.
I think it was 2006 when I was visiting an English club.
Actually 2007, because we moved here in 2007.
Maybe 2007, yeah. And my friend Julia once came there to that club with with one American. And that was, I think, the first time when I saw Laura. Maybe later I met Mark. And this is how I started building relationships with them. We became actually friends. And it's lasted for
15 years.
15 years.
She was just a youngin' when we first met her.
I had just graduated the university actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So you were in the English classes.
Yes.
Were you in my class, or were you in the one that I think it was Misha was teaching? Or no?
I have no idea. I wish I could remember.
No?
I don't know. I really don't remember.
Mm. Yeah, we were paired up, so I know that somebody was paired up with Sergey. I think I was paired up with Misha because Misha spoke English, whereas Sergey didn't. Yeah, we did an English class first and then a Bible study afterwards. Yeah. And so, I think he's still pinging me. So, what were your first impressions of Americans?
I don't remember. For me, as I graduated the university and my specialty was translating, meeting native speakers, it was a good experience, a good opportunity, I don't know, for future, for learning English, something like that. So for me it was like a chance, not only to learn English, but to learn it with native speakers, which is more available.
Definitely more valuable. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, so you got to know us. You started coming to the church, the Bible studies in the church that we had.
Yes, I think yes.
And you ended up accepting Christ and was baptized.
Yes. And actually, it happened. I think in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
In the camp on the Black Sea. I mean, not in the dirty water. It was extremely important for me, because I really wanted it to be kind of a beautiful ceremony. So dirty river water for me it was like, yeah, disgusting. So I really wanted to do it in the pure sea water. And it happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you've been attending the church ever since.
Yeah.
So as you got to know Mark and I, what were some of the weird American cultural things that you noticed?
Constantly drinking Coca-Cola.
We do constantly drink a lot.
Yeah. Some eating habits. I don't know, maybe it's only in my family that we used to eat a lot, and every meal is kind of a huge meal with a big variety of dishes, but you sometimes can have only snack like sandwiches with I remember first time when you lived in Vinnytsia, I went to your flat and we had kind of lunch, but it wasn't actually lunch, it was boiled sparja.
Beans, green beans.
Sparja, not beans itself, but these green things.
Oh, asparagus.
Yeah, asparagus, sandwiches with cheese, and that's all. For me it was, come on, where is borscht? For me it's kind of unusual thing, when you really eat less than Ukrainians. Because we work hard, we eat hard.
Well, it could have been also that we were feeding a lot of people. We didn't have a lot of money at that time.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. So we had Bible studies that turned into the church and met in our apartment in Vinica until we started our rehab in 2009. Yeah. And then the church continued. We rented a place.
She's ordering some new stuff on the internet, so now she's negotiating with the seller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He speaks English and it's on Viber, which is kind of like an internet SMS or texting program. So,
Messenger.
yeah, he didn't want to talk to me in English on the phone, but he's willing to type it. Yeah. So, Natasha has translated for us as we've taught in the church, and she translates when Sergey preaches. And even though we know Sergey's voice, sometimes he can get to going pretty fast, and especially when it's a new topic or something, we don't pick up the words. So, Natasha, what would you say is one of the funnest things about translating for us? There is a fun thing, right?
Well, I wouldn't say funny.
Not funny, but fun.
Maybe a fun.
Pleasant.
The fun thing is, I don't know. Where did you get these questions?
They're just popping into my head.
Fun thing that sometimes I realize that translating I can speak much faster than in a real conversation when I have to create sentences by myself, but not to reproduce someone's ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because when someone is talking fast, I have to translate in the same speed fast. So sometimes I can do it much faster than producing my own ideas or translating my own ideas.
Mm-hmm. What's one of the hardest things about translating for us?
It's when I don't know the word, and sometimes I know the word, but I totally forget. It seems like, yeah, I know this word, but I don't remember. But the speaker goes further and further, and it's like, okay, never mind. Let's move on. And sometimes it's that I don't know. Maybe it's because of the mood or my ability. Sometimes it's like a river, you know. Mm-hmm. You can do it very well without any problems. But sometimes maybe the topic is difficult, or I don't know. I didn't sleep well last night, something like that. So sometimes I really cannot connect two words together.
Mm-hmm. So far you've been kind of talking about when you listen to somebody in Ukrainian and you translated it in English to us. But what about when we're speaking English and you're translating it into your native language? What's something that's fun for that or difficult?
Fun is when I do something and I am satisfied that I pick up right words, perfect words. The difficult thing is when I don't pick up right words or idioms, something like that, or the topic which I really don't know, electricity, I don't know, cars, something like that. I'm not a specialist and I'm not a man, you know. So some words that I really don't know, even in my native language.
Yeah. Now we learned pretty quick that all the translators, pretty much all of you are girls, and translating for construction materials or on the car, you didn't even know it in your own language, so you're not going to be able to translate it. So Mark and I have had to learn a lot of those words on our own. I think last time when we go to the mechanic or something, they're kind of shocked that I know those words, but I've kind of had to learn those out of necessity. So what's a funny situation where you misunderstood something or you translated something that was kind of funny?
I really don't know.
I was remembering one at the prison when you were translating for me, and I was talking about the prisoners in, I think it was special housing or something, and you didn't quite understand what that situation was, I remember.
As I remember, there was a situation you told about cell
A cell.
for one person.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is how it's called in our language. And according to its name, I thought only one person could be there. But actually, there were two prisoners which you know, that's why I misunderstood everything. I couldn't understand. Okay, one cell. I mean, cell for one person. How to people could be there? You know, something like that. That really that was frustrating for me.
Yeah, I was talking about special housing, which is, we call it solitary confinement or the hole, you know, and sometimes we house 2 prisoners in one room. It's set up for 2, but sometimes we only have 1 in there.
But just because I have never, I hope I will
Never be in prison?
I've never been in a prison, and I don't know the system and all the cells, all the different kinds of everything, so it's totally new for me.
So what's your favorite American idiom? And I'm saying American because they learn British English here, and British English and American English are different. They have some words in common, but they're very different. Just like Ukrainian and Russian, they have a lot of words that are very similar, but there's many words that are very different.
I don't have my favorite idiom actually, at all, because I'm not good at them.
Yeah, idioms are very difficult.
Yes, but I know the last one, I remembered. The world is your oyster. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
For me it was kind of, what? Oyster? How is it connected? You know?
My favorite one in Russian Ukrainian is "Деньги в ветер," which is money thrown into the wind, which basically means that something's useless. I mean, why would you do it? It has no benefit.
Wasting money.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the weirdest one?
The weirdest one?
Idiom? Because idioms, Americans don't understand how many idioms we use, and it's because we have all our different immigrants, and all those people bring their own idioms. So we have tons and tons of idioms that we use. When I first came here and started teaching, one of the students asked for idioms, and I thought, what? Why? You know, and I went to the library, to the Window on America office, and I looked at the books, and there were so many books about idioms. I was shocked. And then I pulled out the biggest one. I thought, this can't be. And it was like, oh, I know that one. I know that. I said that one this morning. I said that one yesterday. And I was like, oh my gosh, we use so many idioms. So after that, I included that in my classes when I would teach. So any odd ones?
I wouldn't say odd, you know, just because I don't use them a lot. I remember the black sheep.
Black sheep.
Black sheep.
Because you guys say the white crow.
Yeah, white crow. Yeah,
yeah. Black sheep.
Okay, next question.
Yeah. I think one of the weirdest ones, Ukrainian ones I ever heard was writing a promise with a pitchfork in water. And that was one that somebody shared with us when we first moved here, and it basically means that your word is useless. You can't trust it, because if you write a promise in water with a pitchfork, you know it's going to disappear within a matter of seconds. And the other one I really like is the hairy hand. You have a friend who's very important, a VIP, and you want to drop his name, they call him the hairy hand. I have a hairy hand. Yeah, that was another weird one for me. Yeah. What is something like with the really hard in grammar that's really different in English than it is in Ukrainian?
I would say if sentences.
If sentences?
If only, which sentences. And not gerund. Sometimes mixing with gerund and infinitive, I would say. But if sentences, wish, if only, this is what I really have to think about. I have to stop. Okay, what kind of if sentence is it? 0, 1, 2, first, second, third. How would I build this construction? What if it's mixed type? It's too difficult.
I think for me, in Ukrainian and Russian, it's the prepositions. The prepositions are very, very different. And just how you say things, like you would say the bowls are standing on the table, where you would say it's sitting on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would say, we would say, in the picture I see, you would say on the picture I see. Yeah. I think one of my funniest ones is that you guys say "Yaslishu Zaba,"
Oh yeah.
which translates to "I hear a smell," and that one really confused me for a long time. And again, it's just kind of the cultural phrasing. I hear a smell. Do you hear that smell? Like, how can you hear a smell? So, when the war first started, you came here and lived with us.
Mm-hmm.
What was the most difficult thing about coming to live with us during that period?
Maybe changing schedule, changing eating schedule. Just because there were too many people in this house, and I really wanted to do something. I didn't know what to do. One more thing that really made me feel scared, that in the first day of the war, I was in my house, in my apartment, and I could hear sirens, which scared me a lot.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I was so warned about every noise I could hear. The car, bus, I don't know, vehicle, plane, thunder, anything, everything. I really tried to hear what is going on. Is it a bomb? Is it going to explode? Something like that. And it really, it didn't let me fall asleep very fast,
Yeah,
especially at night, because at daytime, you know, there are a lot of noises. I know, dogs barking, birds singing, I don't know, wind, but at night you can hear everything.
Yeah.
So for me it was like, oh, something is coming, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah, Natasha lives alone, I mean, in an apartment, but of course she hears people who live around her. But of course here, you know, we have, at that time we had, how many men? 6 men, I think?
Something like that.
Yeah, so a very different environment. Yeah. And was there something that you saw here at the rehab center, something that Mark and I did that seemed kind of strange, or like, why are they doing that? Or I know we've talked about some of that stuff. I mean, like we talked about in the car this morning about you teach English, so your students, you know.
Yeah, of course I understand that the relationships between Ukrainian family and your family, I mean American family, is different. It's not bad. Yes, it's weird for me, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just different. Yeah, it's unusual for me, but it's not bad. And the way how you catch, yeah, this is what we were talking about in the car, on the car, in the car today, on the way here, that just because they, I mean Laura and Mark, they are in this sphere of rehab for 30 years, I think.
Yeah.
They can easily catch up all the, I don't know, motivations, emotions, hidden motivations, hidden emotions, hidden behavior, something that no one can else see. And they can easily understand what is going on with the person, and understand motivations. What is going on, what to do next, how to solve it. This is what I cannot see. Sometimes I, living here with a bunch of men, I couldn't understand why Mark and Lara do this or that. Now I understand. I couldn't believe, I couldn't understand why sometimes they are kind of rude with men. It's because, or pushing. It's just because something is going on with these men, which I don't see, and they were trying to correct, change something. It's the same as me. I teach, and very often when I visit children's, I tutor, and when I visit the lesson, I visit my students' homes. I see a lot of things, hidden things in their behavior, and I can understand, or I can predict beforehand what problems I might face with in future. Sometimes they are too pushy. I understand that this is what they do with their parents, This is what I'm going to fight with in future. Not let them, or don't show them that I can play the same game, or they control me, or that they control me. Just to be above of that behavior. Don't let them manipulate me. This is what I can easily see. I can easily see what is going on with how we are going to build the relationships when the first parents called me to ask start tutoring their children. The way how they talk to me the very first time, the way how they explain things, what they want from me, what they want or what they expect from the lessons, I can easily catch up.
Catch on would be American English. Catch up is British English. Catch on.
Catch on.
See, that's a perfect example of the differences.
Yeah. Of the problems that I can face with. Probably no one else who is not a tutor can understand me. So the sphere where you work is perfect example for you to understand some deeper things, and other people don't understand these things.
I mean, like today, one of the guys came in and he was getting tea, and he was just standing here waiting for his tea to steep. And Mark came out and said, "Why are you staring at Natasha?" And Natasha didn't even realize that he was just standing there watching her. Not a big deal, but when you talk about a guy who's got addictions and he can't drink, that addiction is going to pop up elsewhere, you know, and a lot of these men have issues with women, you know, and how they have their relationships with the women. So, for one thing, Natasha is like our spiritual daughter, and we're going to protect her at all costs. And so we want to make sure that we set that tone with the men, you know, and it's actually in our rules that our friends are our friends, not their friends. Our translator is our translator, not their translator. So they don't ask favors and try and compromise the relationship, you know, because for some men, a woman is a game for them, you know. So we want to make sure that we protect. A perfect example is we had an older guy here, older than me, Peter. Yeah.
This is what actually
You were thinking
remember.
about.
Yeah, I was thinking about.
So Natasha was in the kitchen and she had her forearms on the table as she was thinking and considering something. She was making, I think, salads for the police when we were feeding them.
Something like that.
And so he came behind her and he poked at her ribs like this. Now, he didn't have to go between the table and the stove where she was standing, which is a tight quarters. He could have gone around the other way, but he went behind her and then he touched her, you know. And so she was like, "Don't do that," which I was very proud of you for standing up to him and saying, "Don't touch me." But then she, as soon as she saw us, I forget where we were at. I think we were away, Mark and I were away, or we were off doing something, and when I came into the house, she told me. And so I stopped and I thought about it. What do I want to do? And the men were all over in the bunkhouse, and I think we had almost 8 then because it was pretty full.
Yeah.
Volodya was here as a guest, yeah, and you and Vika were in the veranda living. And so I decided to go in there and act really angry because I'm hardly ever angry. You know, I don't get loud. That's Mark's business. He's more of the God, the Father, the discipline. I'm more like the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, you know. But in this aspect, it's really important that we react quickly. And so I went in there, and he was laying on the top part of the bunk bed, and I got just inches, you know, well, maybe a foot away from his face. And I was like, "Do not ever, ever, ever touch one of my guests." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't do anything." And so I got almost nose to nose with him, and I got louder, and I said, "Do not ever touch one of my guests. She is my friend. She is my spiritual daughter. She's my translator. You should never put your hands on her." You know, and of course all the other men are dead quiet. You know, should they scatter and get out of my way? And so I did that for effect. And as soon as I left, Volodya was like, "What did you do?" And Peter tried to play it off. "Oh, I didn't do anything." And Volodya says, "You get down here, stand in front of me, and you tell me what you did." And so all the other guys kind of jumped in as well, you know, and said, "Laura doesn't get angry like that," you know. So they made him get down out of his bunk, and he stood in front of them, and he finally confessed to them, and they were like, "Oh, you should never ever do that. I mean, she's not your wife. I think I said that. She's not your wife. She's not your daughter. She's not your friend. You should not put your hands on her." You know, it's like a dirty old man kind of thing. You know, so anyway, I was glad that the guys really stepped up, especially the Velodia being there, you know, and they were like, "Yeah, you did really wrong. You need to go apologize." So he came over later and apologized to me, and he apologized to you, didn't he?
You apologize? Yeah,
No,
he did.
he apologized to you.
Yeah.
But we've had some guys, when we had some church meetings here or something and lunch afterwards, ask the girls like, "What books are you reading? Oh, could you bring me those books so I could read them?" And it's, you know, that's not what he's really wanting. He's wanting a connection, you know. And in a rehab center, that's the last thing that should be happening for any guy. He needs to focus on his addictions. Little boy.
You might come.
In her house?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's turning around.
Oh, that's why. No boy, stop.
I remember a situation. There was a new guy. He didn't stay here for long, maybe 1-2 days. I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
It was his first meal here,
Uh-huh.
as I remember. Oh, we were sitting here at the table, and where are you from?
Oh,
Stuff
yeah.
like that. You know, some general questions.
But
It
they
seems
were
like-
a little bit invasive.
It
yeah.
seems like nothing serious. Come on, but I could feel that there is hidden motivation behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you handled him really well. You said, "I'm from around here." You were very
Something like that,
evasive.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of the culture.
Another thing, two guys were washing dishes,
Uh-huh.
and the new guy wanted to ask me to roll sleeves
Roll up the
because
sleeves.
he
yeah.
was washing dishes and he was afraid to water
to get it wet.
to get them wet. So he, when I showed up in the kitchen, there were two guys. But when I showed up in the kitchen, he asked me
Mm-hmm.
to roll these sleeves, and I said, "No, the other guy can do that."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you're learning. Yeah. Yeah. I forget what I was saying, but you know, in this culture, you know, because of the Holodomor, the forced famine, and then the deportation of a lot of Ukrainians when Russia took over in the 1920s, and then the 1940s, where Ukraine was fighting on the side of the Germans, on the side of the Russians, and in the middle trying to be independent. It kind of wiped out the male population, and so for a long time it was a minimum of 11 women for every one man. And so, you know, having mistresses on the side and all those kind of things happened for many, many years, but I would say that the national sport of men my age is flirting. Yeah, you know, and I've learned they wear their wedding ring on the right hand here, and I wear mine on my left. So a lot of times when I go out in public and Mark's not going to be with me, I also wear a ring on my right hand, on my ring finger, you know, just to kind of say, because I found out through a situation. I was on a tram, and the conductor was male, which is kind of rare. He came up and started flirting with me, and I said, "I have a husband," you know, and he says, "Well, I don't see a husband." And I just like gotten on the tram, kissed Mark goodbye because he dropped me off, you know, and I was like, "Yeah, he was just here." And I learned later that a woman who wears her wedding ring on the left hand is a widow. So he was thinking I was a widow, you know, so that's why I started wearing the ring on the right hand. But the men can be very flirtatious, and especially when you deal with people who have addictions, they learn to manipulate, and you know, the men often manipulate the women in their life, their mothers, their wives, their sisters, you know, so that's another reason that we're very, very careful. And we knew some things were going to happen when Vika and Natasha came to live with us when the war started. You know, we were prepared. I think there was a couple times I went back in your room and I talked to you guys about something, you know, because I knew that you probably wouldn't understand what just happened. You know, why were we being, like you said, rude? You know, it's because we have to confront these guys really quick on some things. If not, it can get out of hand. That was kind of difficult when we first started rehab here because your culture is more polite in some aspects than ours is. Because they have a tense. We have you singular and plural, but they have you informal and formal. So, like Natasha, if she didn't know me, she would be saying "vous," the formal you, because I'm older than her. You know, whereas I could probably say "t" to her, you, informal, because she's younger than me. But that's how they're polite sometimes, and it's just a different culture, quite different.
Okay, another question.
Okay, why did you come out and help me? Well, I have to think of another
Right
question.
now?
Yeah, why did you want to come out and help me?
I have a day off, and I know that. Okay, that's the last reason. First reason that I have a day off. Second reason that you helped me when the war started and I lived here. So now it's my turn to pay you back.
Mm-hmm.
Just to show that I'm ready to help you. And the third reason is that I know that your love language is helping.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so good girl. Yep, it speaks volumes of love to me. I will admit. Yeah, and for me, it's very pleasant to have Natasha around because it's another woman. I mean, because most days, if I want to talk to the female persuasion, I have to go out and talk to the pigs or the chickens, you know. They're good listeners, but they don't tell me stories and funny jokes and that kind of stuff. So right now what we're doing is we're cutting up tomatoes for Italian sauce. And I kind of conserve a basic Italian sauce with, you know, basil and oregano, onions and garlic, tomatoes, sugar, salt, a little bit of cinnamon. If you look in your spaghetti sauces, you'll probably see that listed as an ingredient. That's why I use it. And conserve it, and that way when we need pizza sauce or marinara sauce, any of those kind of things, we can pull it out, add different ingredients, kind of doctor it up for whatever we need. But it's a real quick, you know, dinner, throw it on pasta with ground meat, those kind of things. But we went through every single can that I did, every single jar last year. So I have zero. I've had 0 jars for a month, maybe 2 now. It's interesting how the different groups of men that come in, sometimes I'll have a group that loves the jams and they just eat them all up. This winter, our group was not a big sweet tooth with the jams, but they ate all the relishes, or what they call here, jika. And so I have absolutely no relish downstairs at all. Even the Mexican salsa that I made for Mark got eaten.
You know, I have never thought about the opportunity to be interviewed. This is the first time.
Yeah, you translated for us when we were interviewed on TV, when we were interviewed for the newspapers, yeah, when they did some of the videos also on TV for us.
And you know, every time when I remember that, some, I don't know, godly ideas appeared in my mind that after that TV show, which all my relatives could see, some of them even accidentally saw it, really accidentally. They just turned on the TV the next day when it wasn't on air, it was just...
it was like a week later or something?
No, the next day.
The next day?
Yeah, kind of repeated version.
Uh-huh.
So they just accidentally turned on the TV and saw me, and they immediately called my mom, my relative. My relatives were so proud of me that I was on TV, and my nieces were proud. Hey, we saw you on TV. My sister was proud of me. I could even. Oh, it was something amazing when my parents, when my relatives called my parents, or they tagged me on Facebook. Especially my aunt, she shared this video with everyone
Half
who
of
knows
Ukraine.
half of Ukraine who knows me, something like that, and even my relatives in Australia saw this video, and it's like, wow, yeah, my parents were so proud of me, and that's a big change in I don't know, in everything. Well, that's a huge story.
Yeah.
Behind the scene,
Yeah, her parents
my
weren't exactly
personal-
fans of us.
my
at first.
personal, yeah, they weren't. And when the war started, on the second day, when I called my mom and told her that I'm going to go here to the village, and I told father that I was going to go here to the village, and he said, just because my sister, she lives in Kiev and they couldn't escape, they stayed there for 2 weeks, I think, and only then they could escape. And my parents, my father actually, that was his shift at work. He works 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, yeah. So that was his working weeks. He couldn't go home, he couldn't escape anywhere, so they stayed in that place where they lived. So my father told me, okay, go there, at least I would know that you will be safe, because he really worried about my sister in Kiev. They didn't worry about themselves, because they live in a smaller town, much smaller. They really worried about my sister. So the attitude towards Mark and Lara was changed dramatically after that interview. When the war started, then when my father told, go there, at least I won't worry about you. And every time when I was here, every day when I was here, and I called my mom, Lara could hear, and they kind of, hey, hello. They greeted each other almost every day.
Yeah, I think the first time I met her was when you had translated for me up in the prison in Zhytomyr, and we came through your hometown or near it,
Yeah.
and stopped, and her mom was just very open, and
I was shocked with her reaction. Yeah.
because they were very suspicious of Americans. What are we teaching? What are we doing? Christianity outside of the Orthodox Church was considered, and still is by some people, considered a sect, a cult. So her parents were very nervous when she first started going to the church and all that. So that was a change. But I remember one of the first days we had gone into the city and we were at Metro. I think it was to pick up a donation from Metro, the big store. And we had bought something, and I was at the cashier checking out, and your mom called. And she started talking to you and was crying. And you started crying, and I was
Yeah.
like, what's going on?
Yeah. I think this is when the war had already started.
Yeah, it was like the second or third day
Yeah,
after the war.
yeah. Maybe the day when you picked me up to come here.
It could have been, yeah. But I remember we were at Metro, and I was at the cashier. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I started crying because my mom started crying. I don't remember what we were talking about, but it was something like, tell Laura, through tears, tell Laura, please, tell her big thank you that you can stay with her. Or
Yep. That was a rough first couple of weeks, wasn't it, with the war? And of course, the town nearest us was hit because of the ammunition depot on the very first day of the war. Yeah. That was some difficult days. But there's no sirens out here, although now I have a program on my phone that gives me a siren when there's in this region, in this county. Just because I kind of want to know. In the city we can hear them. But any last words for people in America who support us and watch us and all that kind of stuff. A funny story or
Funny story.
important point, or I don't know, whatever you want to say. And we'll end this because I don't know how long we've been going. We've been working the whole time.
She makes me work here, you know. Every time I come here, I think I will lay down, resting, watching videos on YouTube. But you know, she makes me work. And this time it's the hardest work, you know, to work, to proceed.
It's because you eat so much.
Procedure. I mean to process all these tomatoes and 2 more boxes over there, and I believe 2 more boxes over there.
Yep. Yeah, this is only a part of it. We just stopped because we needed the sinks free, and we need to see how full these are going to get. But you know, she says that, but I catch her sweeping the floor or getting new toilet paper for the bathroom, that kind of stuff. So I think your love language might be service as well. What do you think?
Not really.
What do you think?
Encouragement.
Encouragement, so time or words? Mm-hmm.
Words, I would say words.
Yeah.
Definitely not presents. Oh
Yeah.
no.
That's not mine either, so. That's Julia's.
Uh-huh.
Hers is now. So. Okay, well, I'll do a post with all the pictures afterwards of all the tomatoes and how everything works. It's a Saturday evening, and we'll probably get these 2 pots on, and we're going to clean some onions and some garlic.
My pot is almost full. Yours not. I'm watching you.
Because your pot is smaller.
No, it's just because you don't work. You only talk.
I know. And I get on the computer, and I can serve the plum jam. Yep. Yeah. See how she treats me.
Yeah, you know the one thing they taught me. I mean, especially Mark, it's just to tease them.
Yeah. Yeah, because in your culture, you don't necessarily tease the same way. I mean, they don't joke. Like if you tell somebody, "Oh, you're crazy," they would get really offended here. You know, and even some of the men who come here, they don't know how to take some of our joking at first. And then they usually relax, most of them relax. But yeah, our joking in our culture is different.
The most difficult thing is to tease Mark.
Yeah.
Because he's a master of that.
Because I have 3 brothers.
He had 3 brothers, yeah, he's the master of it.
And to tease Mark, it's it's an art.
Yeah, because you know that you're gonna get it back. But I must say, I appreciate the men and people who come to visit us because he focuses on you guys and gives me a break for a little while. All right, so we'll let you go because I have no idea how long we've been talking and working, but
It may last forever.
yeah. So you got to hear from Natasha's voice, her own mouth, what she feels about all this kind of stuff. All right, bye.